Good morning. Welcome to FM Corner. I'm Danny Koontz, your host. Today, we're going to talk about something very important no matter what the business is. Vendor, service, restaurant, doesn't matter. The importance of training. In today's world, as we all have experienced recently, it's incredibly hard to find people, find good talent, find people, just get people to even show up for an interview. It's just difficult for every industry. One quick way that you can lose people who may be interested is not to provide training for them. In lots of the interviews I've done over the last year and a half, one of the things that many people brought up during the interview is, what is your training program? What's it consist of? How do I get trained? And it's critical that you have answers to that for these people. The key is having a program in place that everyone can follow. And the second piece of that is it must be consistent. In other words, the old way of doing it, which is just send them out there and they'll figure it out, that's not what people want anymore. What they want is to be trained and to be taught. And the program needs to be consistent. Who is the person that's going to be doing the training? Hopefully it's the same person for each type of individual that applies or gets hired inside your company. Reason being, so it will be consistent. If you hire, like in our business, 5 different techs, and you have 5 different people train them, you're going to get 5 versions of how everything should be done, no matter how hard you try. Doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong, but what is the consistency that you're looking for? So who does the training? Are the steps followed the same? Is it a series of videos to learn? Is it on-the-job training? Is it meetings with executives on your team to talk about the company, talk about culture, what are values, what are things that the company is planning on? All those things are critically important. So think about who's going to do the hiring and when. And is it going to be consistent? Is it going to be the same people? Is it going to be the same set of criteria that's going to be done over and over as you go forward? People are very interested in being taught. They want to be taught. They want to be shown what is the way that you're going to do it. If you hear from someone when something happens and they say, I wasn't trained, stop and think about that for a minute and take note. Because it probably means one of two things. They legitimately didn't get trained, and then you need to stop and make sure that whoever is responsible for that training sits down with this person, goes through it, identifies what wasn't done, and makes sure that they are coached up. The other thing is maybe they were, and now that's just being used as an excuse. Either way, the person needs to be spoken with and talked to about it, because one of those things happened. They either didn't get the training they needed or they did, and now it's an excuse, and you need to address that as well. You know, not only is it learning the nuts and bolts, it's the why. It's if they are in a service world where they end up working with a customer, how do you deal with the customer? How do you talk to the customer? What do you say? How do you go about it? What happens if the customer gets upset? How do you deal with that? All that is a part of training. How do you explain what you're doing on the job when you're there, or how things are done? All those items are critically important in learning and training. So it's a skill set one, but there's also a big communication piece that comes into play that needs to be taught as well on how people address and handle customers. That's critically important too. You have to help them understand culture. What's your company about? What do you do? Why do you do it? All those things are important for a new person coming into your company to learn and understand. So always explain the whys. This is why we do certain things certain ways. Let people know, whether it's consistency or it's accuracy, whatever the reasons are that cause you to do what you do, make sure people understand that. Take the time to talk to them about it. Do check-ins after a while. So they went through training and they're 90 days into it. How's it going? What do you like? What did you not get that you think you should? Let's talk about that. Let's work on it together. What was really good about the training process when you were started with our company? That way you kind of know what's working. And then you have opportunities to find out what's not working or what was missed. And that's an opportunity to fix that or take care of it prior to the next person coming in. Training's teaching. It's kind of like school. It's very imperative for growth and for the opportunity to have someone who is new in your company to want to stay and want to be a part of it long term. And thus, you don't have a person who comes in and 90 days later they leave and you start the process all over again. You want people to come to work for your company. You want people to enjoy it. You want to provide them as you promised when they join the company so that they will stay and be a very long-term productive person inside your company. Be the company, be the department that's a leader in training. It'll help you retain people. It'll help them grow. It'll help them become more successful, which in turn makes your company more successful with good, satisfied employees who requested training and got it. And one thing to always remember in this, if you don't do the training, someone else will. That's what people are looking for today, is to be trained. Take the time, own training, do a good job with it, be consistent with it in your company. That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for listening. Look forward to speaking with you again next week.